station was bustling like any other morning, until the door creaked open and this mangy stray dog limped inside, dragging a filthy trash bag in its teeth. At first, everyone was yelling for someone to get that mutt out of there, but the dog wouldn't budge. And when the bag finally tore open, what fell out made the entire room go silent because it wasn't trash. It was a human hand. So where'd this dog find it? And who did it belong to? First, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us where in the world you're watching from. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. The morning shift at District 6 precinct had settled into its usual groove. Slow, predictable, kind of boring. Officer Reyes was half dozing at his desk, one ear on the police scanner crackling away with its usual nonsense. Across the room, Nina, the dispatcher, was already on her third coffee, squinting at overnight reports like they might actually contain something interesting for once. Up front, Chief Monroe was scribbling on the whiteboard about patrol coverage for some parade next week. "Reyes," Monroe called, without even turning around. "That incident report from last night's drunk and disorderly. You planning on finishing it before you retire, or what?" Reyes grinned. "By lunch, Chief. Scout's honor." Outside, the rain had finally let up, leaving everything smelling like wet concrete. That familiar city smell that drifted in at every time somebody opened the lobby door. Just another normal morning. Then that smell changed. At first, it was subtle, like someone had left their lunch in a desk drawer too long. But it kept getting stronger, sharper, something metallic and rotten that made your stomach turn. Nina wrinkled her nose. "Anybody else getting that?" Reyes took a sniff and immediately regretted it. "Yeah, Christ, what is that?" Monroe spun around, already annoyed. Did somebody forget their lunch in a drawer again? But then the lobby doors swung open, and everybody just stopped. There, standing in the doorway, was the sorriest-looking dog you'd ever seen. Mud caked on its paws, ribs showing through matted fur, these dull, amber eyes that looked too old for a dog. But it wasn't the dog that caught everyone's attention. It was what was hanging from its mouth. A black trash bag, all knotted up and dripping, swinging back and forth with each breath the dog took. "What in the—" Reyes started, standing up real slow. The smell got worse, way worse. Nina actually gagged behind her hand. The dog just walked right in like it owned the place, calm as anything, and sat down right in the middle of the room, still holding that bag. Monroe's face went red. "What the hell is this? Who let this flea bag in here?" Nobody answered. They were all too busy staring at the dog, at the bag, at the puddle of nasty forming underneath it. "Reyes, Torres, get that thing out of here," Monroe barked. "Now, before I take care of it myself." But the dog didn't even flinch. Reyes approached slowly, hand out, trying to look friendly. "Hey, buddy, you can't be in here. Come on, let's go outside." The growl that came out of that dog was pure warning. Reyes froze. "Okay, not friendly." "I said get it out." Monroe was really losing it now. "This is a police station, not a pound." Torres joined Reyes, both of them trying to circle around. But every time they got close, the growling got louder. This wasn't a scared dog. It was protecting something. Not itself. That bag. "All right, that's it," Monroe muttered, hand moving to his holster. "You got 5 seconds before this ends badly." But the dog still didn't move. Not an inch. The whole room felt different now. Everybody could sense it. This wasn't just some stray looking for food or shelter. Something was seriously wrong. And it all came down to whatever was in that bag. None of them knew it yet, but their boring morning was about to become anything but. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Monroe's voice cracked like a whip. "If you too can't handle one mangy dog, maybe you're in the wrong line of work." Torres winced. "Chief, it's acting defensive. We spook it. Things could get ugly." "I don't care if it's the president's poodle. Get it out of my station." Monroe stomped forward, hand still on his weapon. The dog let out a snarl that made even the veterans take a step back. Its whole body tensed up like it could sense the threat, not just to itself, but to whatever was in that bag. It actually pulled the trash sack closer with one paw, keeping its teeth locked on the plastic. "This is ridiculous," Monroe muttered. "It's protecting garbage like it's the crown jewels." The standoff was drawing a crowd. Officers who'd been doing paperwork or grabbing early lunch were now standing around watching this bizarre scene play out. But there was something about this dog's eyes. They weren't darting around in panic like most strays would. They were locked on Monroe, steady and determined. Reyes tried again. "Chief, just let me try something else. Drawing guns might make this worse." Monroe glared, but gave a quick nod. Reyes crouched down, keeping his voice soft. "Hey there, pal. You look beat. Long night, huh?" He pulled a granola bar from his pocket and tossed it gently toward the dog. The dog didn't even glance at the food. Instead, it let out this strange growl. Not threatening exactly, but insistent, like it was trying to tell them something. Then it did the weirdest thing. It looked straight at Monroe, then down at the bag, then back at Monroe. Monroe blinked. "Is it trying to show us something?" "I think it wants us to look inside," Reyes said quietly. Monroe wasn't buying it. "It's a stray with a bag of trash. You're acting like it's Lassie or something. Torres, enough of this." Torres moved in reluctantly, reaching for the bag. The dog sprang up instantly, putting itself between Torres and the bag, letting out a sharp bark that echoed off the walls. Torres backed off, hands up. Okay, take it easy." Nina stepped closer, speaking carefully. "Wait, look at it. The dog doesn't want food. It doesn't want to get warm. It wants us to see what's in that bag." "Or it's just crazy," Monroe snapped. But then, like it understood exactly what they were saying, the dog lowered its head, set the bag down gently, and started pawing at it, carefully tearing at the top seam. "Don't let it do that!" Monroe shouted. "It's gonna spread garbage everywhere!" Too late. With one final tug, the bag split open, and the smell hit them like a punch to the gut. Sour, rotten, wrong. "Oh, God!" Nina choked, covering her face. Something pale tumbled out of the tear. Something smooth, something that definitely wasn't garbage. A human hand. The room went dead silent. "What the?" Monroe stepped back, staring. "Is that?" Reyes moved closer, crouching beside the bag. The hand was gray, stiff, starting to decompose. No question what it was. "Yeah," he said grimly. "We got a body." Monroe's whole attitude changed in a heartbeat. The anger vanished, replaced by professional focus. "Lock it down," he ordered. "Secure the scene, call forensics, tape off the lobby, and somebody call animal control." Reyes hesitated. "Hold off on that call, Chief." Monroe's eyes narrowed. "Why?" Reyes nodded toward the dog, who now sat quietly beside the spilled remains. "Because I don't think he's done showing us stuff." They sealed off the lobby in minutes. Flat. Yellow tape went up. Officers rerouted people through the back entrance. The forensics team showed up quick, their gloved hands already dusting the bag and snapping photos of that awful hand. The smell was everywhere now, soaking into the walls, even with the evidence bagged up. But nobody could stop looking at the dog. It just sat there, calm as could be, watching each officer like it was waiting for something. "We need prints, fibers, soil samples, anything that tells us where this came from," the forensics lead announced. "That'll take days," Reyes muttered, watching the dog. "And I think this guy already knows." Monroe stared at the animal, jaw tight. "You seriously want to follow a dog around like it's a GPS?" Reyes didn't blink. "I think he brought us this for a reason. Let him lead us. We might find the rest." The room held its breath. "Chief," Nina said gently, "if that hand came from nearby and this dog found it, he might be our best shot." Monroe crossed his arms. "One wrong turn and we're chasing squirrels while the real trail goes cold." Reyes knelt down again. "Okay, boy, you brought us this far. Got anything else to show us?" The dog's ears perked up at the tone. It stood slowly, gave the bag one last look, then padded toward the door. It stopped there and looked back over its shoulder. "Open it," Reyes said. Monroe nodded, and the door swung open. The dog stepped out into the drizzle. Officers grabbed rain gear quickly. Reyes improvised a leash, just a rope looped through an evidence bag ring, and slipped it around the dog's neck. No resistance. "All right," Monroe grumbled, pulling up his hood. Keep spread out, stay alert. If this mutt leads us to some dumpster full of pizza boxes, you're all getting written up. But it didn't happen that way. The dog led them through back alleys, down a service lane, across a small park. It only stopped once to sniff a light pole, then kept going with even more urgency. These weren't random wanderings. The dog knew exactly where it was going. He's not lost, Nina observed, camera around her neck. He's following something. A scent trail, maybe. After 10 more minutes, the dog turned sharply onto an industrial road lined with dumpsters and old loading docks. The area had been on their radar before, illegal dumping, vagrant complaints, but nothing serious ever came of it. The dog stopped behind an abandoned bakery. A big, rusty dumpster sat there, lid slightly open, rain pooling around its base. One sniff, then the dog barked sharp and loud. Reyes stepped up, flashlight ready. "Let's see what we got." He and Torres grabbed the lid and heaved it open. Inside, more black bags, 6 of them. Monroe caught up just as Reyes tore open the first one. More remains. An arm, part of a torso, dark, matted hair clinging to decaying skin. The smell was overwhelming, even in the open air. "Jesus," Torres whispered, stepping back. "This isn't random," Reyes said quietly. "This is deliberate. Someone cut her up, distributed the pieces." They checked each bag, confirming the worst. Everyone held human remains, dismembered and scattered to slow identification. The dog stood in the rain, water dripping off its nose, watching them discover what it already knew. "Get forensics here now," Monroe ordered, all skepticism gone. "And somebody get this dog out of the rain." He looked at Reyes. "Take him back, feed him, clean him up, find him somewhere warm." Reyes put his hand on the dog's wet back. "You did good, partner." Back at the station, everything felt different. Nobody looked at the dog like a pest anymore. Officers who'd complained about fleas earlier now stepped aside respectfully as Reyes led him through the back entrance. Nina grabbed a towel and started drying him off, gentle as a mother with a sick kid. "Got a name for him yet?" she asked. "Not yet," Reyes said, watching the dog wolf down food like he hadn't eaten in weeks. "But after today, he's earned one." They set up a blanket in the corner of the squad room. The dog curled up immediately but didn't fully close his eyes. Still watching, still alert. Meanwhile, Monroe stood at the evidence board, pinning up photos from the dumpster. No ID, no purse, nothing. Female victim, maybe mid-30s. "We'll run dental records, check missing persons." Nina came over with her laptop. Initial exam, suggests professional tools, hunting equipment maybe. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Monroe rubbed his temple. Not their first time, then. The forensics matched a missing person report. Kayla Dempsey, nurse at Pine Hill Medical Center, last seen leaving work 5 days ago, just 2 blocks from where the dog first showed up. "He must have found the hand while scrounging for food," Reyes said, looking at the sleeping dog. "But instead of eating, he brought it here." "That's what I don't get," Monroe muttered. "Why come to a police station? No training, no handler. He just knew." Reyes had no answer, but somehow this stray had picked the right building, the right time, and refused to leave until somebody listened. Hours later, the morgue report painted an ugly picture. Ligature marks, bruising, signs of struggle. She'd been held somewhere, restrained, then cut up and dumped. "Check every camera between the hospital and that alley," Monroe ordered. "Somebody dumped her. I want to know who." Torres came back from canvassing with nothing new, but one thing was clear. The dog had beaten them to every clue. They were playing catch-up to a stray with no badge and no voice. Nina sat down next to Reyes in the break room. "You think he had an owner once?" Reyes nodded slowly. "Too smart not to. Maybe abandoned, maybe lost. But he still thinks like somebody's partner." Monroe poked his head in. "Animal Control's asking if we're keeping him or handing him over." The room went quiet. "I'll do the paperwork," Reyes said. "He stays." Monroe raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. "Then give him a name. Can't file him as that dog forever." The room chuckled. First laugh they'd had all day. The dog stirred at Reyes's voice, lifting his head slightly. Welcome to the team, Reyes said softly. Morning sun filtered through the blinds as the newly christened Shadow stood by the door, tail wagging just a little. His coat was clean now, trimmed up enough to lose the street grime, though he still looked rough around the edges. The station was buzzing. Kayla's murder had everybody on edge. Reyes clipped on Shadow's new collar, plain black with a silver tag reading simply, Shadow. Ready to work? He asked. The dog didn't bark or whine, just turned and walked out like he knew exactly what they were doing. Monroe had okayed the field operation, take Shadow back to the dumpster area, see if he could lead them further, maybe even to where Kayla had been killed. Reyes and Torres followed, with Nina bringing up the rear with her camera. Shadow moved with purpose, nose down, stopping occasionally to check the air before changing direction. This time, he passed the bakery completely, heading for a storage facility next door. Abandoned, shutters rusted shut. Behind it was a chain-link fence, half covered with torn tarp. Shadow squeezed through a gap, growling low. Beyond the fence, an overgrown lot littered with tire tracks. At the far end, a falling-down shack with rotted walls and a partially collapsed roof. Forgotten, but recently used. Shadow stopped at the doorway, nose going crazy. "Got something?" Reyes called back. Inside, the air was thick, with that same coppery smell from the bags. A dirty tarp lay bunched in the corner, chains bolted to a support beam, duct tape, zip ties, empty box of latex gloves. Torres stepped out to radio it in. "Secondary crime scene located. Get forensics here. This is where he kept her." Shadow sniffed the beam, then paced anxiously, circling the tarp. He whined once, pressing his nose to blood-stained wood. "Nobody's been here since," Reyes said grimly. "He killed her here, then dumped the pieces." They expanded the search, finding boot prints leading to a drainage canal. Reyes photographed while Nina marked prints with orange flags. Suddenly, Shadow perked up. New scent. He took off along the canal, stopping at a pile of discarded clothes. Reyes grabbed a dark hoodie from the pile. In the pocket, a key card for Capitol Lockers 2 blocks east. Their next stop. The afternoon sun beat down on Capitol Lockers, a rundown storage place wedged between an auto shop and a junkyard. Most units looked like they hadn't been opened in years. Reyes showed the key card to the old guy running the office. "Unit 207, the man said, squinting at it. "Alex Duran, pays cash month to month, doesn't come around much. Anyone else have access?" "Not that I've seen. Want me to open it?" Reyes shook his head. "We got it. Back with the team. Unit 207, Duran. No ID required, no cameras inside." "Could be a dump site," Nina muttered. "Could be worse." Shadow paced by the entrance, pawing at the concrete like he knew what was coming. Inside the dim hallway, Unit 207 waited at the end. Torres drew his weapon. Reyes used the key card. The door rattled up on squeaky tracks. Looked like junk at first. Boxes, broken furniture, water damage everywhere. But Shadow went straight for the back corner, where a tarp covered some crates. "Clear it," Reyes ordered. Under the tarp, 3 industrial coolers. No power, no ice. Nina opened the first one. The smell was instant. She turned away, gagging, as Reyes lifted the lid fully. Inside, body parts wrapped in plastic, vacuum-sealed, arranged carefully. "God," Torres whispered. "She wasn't the first." Second cooler, same thing. Bones, flesh, a woman's shoe. The third held personal items, wallets, IDs, jewelry, photos, trophies. Kayla's driver's license sat right on top, bloodstained but readable. Nina's hands shook as she photographed everything. "Serial killer," Shadow growled. Not at the coolers, but at the far wall. Reyes turned his flashlight that way and froze. Dozens of photos taped up in grids. All women, different ages, races, some distant and grainy. Others posed, smiling. Some crossed out in red. "Names," Torres said, pointing at handwritten labels under each face. He categorized them. A box sat unopened at the base. Reyes popped it open. Journals, handwritten logs detailing the stalking, capture, and murder of each victim. Cold, methodical, practiced. "This isn't just killing," Reyes said quietly. "He's been perfecting his technique." Monroe's voice crackled through the radio. Status? We found it, Reyes answered. Dump site, trophies, detailed records, serial offender. Silence. Copy that, seal it off. CSU en route. Do not leave. Reyes looked at Shadow, who sat perfectly still in the middle of it all, staring at that wall of faces. Not moving, not growling, just staring. Like he understood exactly what they'd found. Like this was what he'd been trying to show them all along. They sealed the locker with crime scene tape, crisscrossing the door like stitches on a wound. By the time CSU arrived, hazmat suits and all, the sun had set. Reyes leaned against his squad car, staring at nothing. Shadow sat beside him, alert but calm, watching everything. Torres came over, looking exhausted. 7 confirmed victims, 3 still unidentified. Journals go back 6 years. 6 years, Reyes repeated, and nobody caught him. He moved around, changed names. This locker was probably just his latest spot. A CSU tech brought over a plastic bag with a hardware store receipt inside, dated 2 days ago. Zip ties, bleach, gloves, duct tape. He was still active, the tech said, getting ready for another one. Reyes felt cold despite the warm night. If Shadow hadn't brought that bag in, we wouldn't be here, Torres finished. Back at the station, Monroe sat silent as they briefed him. The hand Shadow brought in was confirmed as Kayla's. The rest of her was in those coolers. Most recent victim, killed maybe 48 hours before the dog showed up. No digital trail, Nina added, reviewing the journals. Cash only, burner phones, no social media. Without that dog. The room went quiet. Monroe finally spoke. What do we know about Alex Duran? Real name Ellis Calloway, Reyes said. Manslaughter conviction in '98. Bar fight gone bad. 6 years inside. Changed his name after parole. Clean since then. Monroe exhaled hard. Nobody thought to check because he paid on time and kept quiet. Quiet ones are the worst, Reyes said. Security footage from the storage place showed Calloway visiting weekly, always wearing gloves. Never stayed long, never talked to anyone. Then they found new footage. Calloway parking a white van behind a strip mall 2 nights before Shadow showed up, getting out with a black bag, walking toward dumpsters, the same dumpsters Shadow had led them to. Reyes rewound it, watching again. At the edge of the frame, barely visible, a small shape in the shadows. A dog, watching. He was there, Reyes said quietly. He saw it happen. Shadow had been the only witness. Next morning, Reyes found Monroe crouched beside Shadow's new bed in the garage bay. He's not just lucky, she said softly. No, Reyes agreed. He tried to tell us, risked everything to drag that evidence in, got yelled at, threatened, nearly thrown out, but didn't quit. Monroe stood. I've put in for evaluation. If he passes, we start training officially. Reyes looked at the dog who'd changed everything. He's already one of us. Shadow stood, walked to the squad car, and jumped into the back seat like he'd done it forever. He'd claimed his spot, the K9 unit. 3 weeks later, Kayla's murder had blown wide open into something bigger. Headlines everywhere. Stray dog solves serial killer case. Shadow the hero nobody expected. Ellis Calloway sat in jail. No bail. The evidence was overwhelming. DNA, trophies, journals, footage. The DA was building cases for multiple murders, but at the station, life went on. The garage bay had been converted. Shadow's bed, steel bowls, and a simple plaque. K9 Shadow, found us first. Shadow aced every test. Obedience, tracking, aggression response. Reyes was officially his handler now. The department's newest K9 member had come from the streets, not a breeder. Torres watched Shadow work a scent grid one morning. Can't believe it. He's better than most dogs we actually paid for. Reyes smiled. He didn't come from comfort. He came from surviving. Torres nodded. And saving us. Reyes knelt as Shadow finished the drill, returning with the right sample, tail wagging once. You knew, Reyes said quietly. You knew that bag mattered. You knew we needed to see. Shadow didn't answer, just sat there, steady and calm, watching the badge on Reyes's belt. Maybe it was the light catching it. Or maybe something more. Have you ever seen an animal refuse to give up on something? even when nobody else understood why? Do you believe some strays carry secrets we'll never fully know? If Shadow's story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible canine tales. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our daily uploads. Share this video with someone who believes that even a forgotten stray can make a difference. And if you're ready for more amazing canine stories, check out the ones on your screen right now. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, with another brand new video.